All right, I get it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I haven't posted since week 3. I get it. I'm sorry, okay? But I have good reasoning, all right? I told y'all if I was not feeling it, I wasn't gonna do it. And I did. But since week 3 through 5, like weeks 3 through 5, like somewhere like life just started lifing and I just started to fall back on the pages and I started to fall back on the artist dates and I wasn't finishing my tasks. I was trying to find a day to play catch up that made sense to me. I didn't want to start off on a Tuesday and do Tuesday to Tuesday or Tuesday to Monday or nothing crazy. So I was trying to wait for at least Friday or a Sunday. And every time them days would come up, something would happen. Artists didn't feel it and I just didn't do it. But week 7, recovering a sense of connection was very interesting to me, and I want to break it down by talking about the chapters taught, how they apply to me, and how I've been overall. So before that, though, I do want to check in from week 3. So I love that I posted it and I recorded it because around that time I was going through a lot. Like I went to Ohio to film this series, ended up getting there. It was the worst experience of my life. It was unprofessional, terrible, yeah. And that's probably never gonna come out. Then as I was driving back to Atlanta, a project that I was doing in Kansas City ended up taking me off due to scheduling conflicts. And that was just like, God, like what is going on? Like why is this all happening? And I don't want to sound like a person like, why is this happening to me? But it was just like, what's going on? I feel like my life was in shambles. I went straight to church. I prayed. I was looking for answers. And come to find out, so this was like November-ish. Come to find out, in January, I ended up working on my first streaming television show, Fatal Attraction, season 14, episode 24. And when I was filming that episode, they would have still been working on a project in Kansas City. So it's just crazy. And I would have had to like choose and yeah. It's crazy how like God works, and Jesus, I'm so grateful that you put me in that position because I got my first television credit and just very grateful for it. Now, the 4 topics that were talked about during this chapter were listening, perfectionism, risks, and jealousy. Julia says, listening, art isn't about thinking something up. It's about getting something down. That was a quote that she said in that chapter. And it made so much sense to me. She said, when you're thinking something up, you're trying to grab something from the atmosphere. You're trying to steady reach something that seems unattainable. Rather than get something down, you're allowing the creator, God, to bring something down to you. We're instruments of his creativity. And I had the best time in the studio back at home in Kansas City in May. Like, I had the best time. I came with the song already written, not thinking that I was gonna finish it that quick in the studio. So I ended up buying the beat, and then come to find out the producer had a buy one get 2 free on the beat. So I'm thinking like, okay, well I'm just not gonna do it. That's my censor. I'm not gonna do it. You know, I'm not gonna be able to write it in time. But I just said, shut up, just buy the beat. So while he was mixing it, I listened to just the first 2 beats that I liked. I bought them. I played one. And at first, I was going back into my perfectionist ways of trying to write the whole entire song. But I said, no, whatever feels good, I'm going to just do it. And so something I realized is that like I need to be at the computer when I'm writing because I don't like when I have to tell the producer, rewind, then they go back too far or too quick or having to keep saying it. I can just be in control. You know, everybody just sit behind me and I'm going to do what I got to do. And the bars just were coming to me. I was like, all right, let me get that. Went into the studio, recorded the bar. Came back out, vibe to it. First line, all right, let me get that. And then soon enough, I was just in there. I was just in the booth. I didn't even have to come out. It was just coming from the dome. And it just felt so good. You know, I feel like I was really listening to God and just allowing it to pour through me. She said also, we are the instrument more than the art of work. God is the true creator, which I just said. Once you accept that it's natural to create, you can begin to accept a new idea. The creator will hand you whatever you need for the project. And that first part for me, once you accept that it's natural to create, has been like, I feel having me in a chokehold these past few months because I don't make gospel music, and of course I'm a follower of Christ. But my music isn't always like gospel. It isn't gospel. I've made some gospel songs, but it's not like I'm not a. I wouldn't consider myself a gospel artist. And so when I create, talk about my struggle and what I've been through, sometimes I cuss. I just feel like I'm not pleasing God. But then I don't know if I'm feeling convicted or if that's the enemy trying to confuse me. Because then the same thing happened when I think about acting. And I'm like, okay, well, if I tell stories, but it's not a Christian based film, am I wrong? But then my thought is like, okay, well, it's, these things are jobs as well. Like acting is a job, and it's just highly publicized. But so if acting is wrong as a job, then wouldn't tax accountants, banks, farmers, anything else that isn't really in the pulpit, would that be wrong as well? Like I'm just having like a lot of questions, and then also like even like for words, like even like cuss words, like back in the day, bitch was very derogative, but now people use bitches like, oh, what's up, bitch? Like it makes me rethink certain things. Cause then even like then with tattoos, the Bible says tattoos was a sin because people were getting them in honor of other gods. But now people don't even think like that for the most part. They get tattoos just because they like how it looks and it looks cute and in memorial of their past family members. So then it just makes me think. So like if God was to tell me, okay, I want you to be a gospel artist or I don't want you to make music at all, I would definitely listen because that's worth more to me than this temporary life. But I just like being. I just want to know. Sometimes I'm just young and I'm trying to find my way through everything. I just want to know, like, if I'm doing is it wrong? Because I love hip hop and I love pop culture. I grew up in it, and just music just sits well with me. Just with the stories that I can tell, talking about passed away loved ones, talking about even not even music about me. I can make music about a story that somebody else tells me and make it my own. Like it's just a beautiful form of art to me, and I love God, but and I'm not perfect. You know, I'm not perfect at all. I don't claim to be. You know, and it's like no matter what I do, I'm gonna always fall short. I'm gonna always fall short. Like I could stop making music right now, but then I'm gonna turn around and I'm still falling short. So it's like I just don't be knowing. And I'll be like, God, I just want you to talk to me and tell me, like, make it clear, make it plain. Like, if you want me to stop, I'm gonna stop. But I don't want to be doing this, and then it's wrong, and then I get to, the gates, and that'll be the worst time. like, oh my, I don't even want to talk like that. No, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I just want to make sure I'm doing something right. But I do love making music, and I feel like my music, Judah, is liberation. Like I'm breaking chains of things that people have put on me, and I want to help other people feel that way. And I'll always give God the glory through even these videos, through just every time I get an accomplishment, when I'm down bad. Like I always give God the glory. So I don't, and this is my just talk to God. Like I am not in any way trying to. I'm reading my Bible. I'm starting from the start, and I'm trying to get through it. Like God, I'm trying. All right, I'm really trying. All right, so the next thing that we got into was perfectionism. And this chapter was really good. It was really, really good. And more people need to know what this is. So I'll have a big quote. Perfectionism, the refusal to let yourself move ahead. It's an obsessive loop that causes you to lose sight on the whole. The perfectionist writes so many versions of scene one, she never finishes the play. Instead of enjoying the process, the perfectionist is grading the results constantly. The perfectionist is married to the logic side of their brain. For the perfectionist, there are no first drafts. Every draft is meant to be final. Midway through the project, the perfectionist decides to read everything over and see where it's going. Perfectionists are never satisfied. They never say this is pretty good, I think I'll keep going. They think it's always room for improvement and call it humility when it's really egotism. Perfectionism isn't a quest for the best, it's a pursuit for the worst in ourselves. the part that tells us we're never good enough. And she also said something that I do. Perfectionist has one eye on their audience and one eye on their artwork. Like literally, when I be in the studio, I would like be in the booth thinking like, while I already have everything written and set in stone, oh, this person won't like this, or people that I haven't even met or met years ago that I don't even talk to, oh, they won't like this, and it's like, why does that matter? And that's why I feel like I had a really good time at the studio the week, my last time, because my censor didn't allow me to be like, oh, this bar is whack, or oh, this is that. I was in there, so and I couldn't go back and look at the lyrics. It was just I'm saying it and that's it. Only thing I wrote was the first was the chorus. I didn't write nothing else. So it's like I haven't even like really tried to write since then because I only want to go to the studio to make music. I feel like that's what was kind of setting me apart from me and my creative self, because like I'll write something so dope, but then a week later it's not either delivering the same when I go to the studio, or I'm just not feeling the bar. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now when I heard them songs that I recorded in the studio, I still feel like I just wrote it today. So that was very, very, very dope for me. And I used to go to the studio with this guy named Jazz, and he would know. Like when I go to the studio, like, oh, Judah, here you come. You know, he just perfectionist. And I have a 2 hour session. I would spend 45 minutes on first four bars. I didn't focus on the dubs, the ad libs, the punches, chorus. I didn't even let him mix it because I'm already thinking, oh, my voice don't sound deep enough, or it sounds too high, or the inflections aren't right. Like I wasn't allowing myself to create. You just like at least allow him to mix it first. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So that was that. So yeah, and I used to think that being a perfectionist was cute. Like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. I gotta get it all right. When no, it's really a refusal to move forward. You're not allowing yourself to allow this draft. Like I used to go to the studio thinking that in this little 2 hour session, which is actually very small, 2 hours I have to have a song finished. No extra mixes, no extra this, finished. And it's like that's not fair to myself. I'm beating myself. I would literally leave the studio feeling beat up because I'm putting so much pressure on myself. And yeah, yeah. So the next thing that we talk about is risks. Julia asks us, what would you do if you didn't have to do it perfectly? And that was a great question. Because what would you do if you didn't have to do it perfectly? And I sat with myself and I said, I would be doing these videos if I didn't have to do it perfectly. I always feel like I need to have a fresh cut and I need to have the best lighting and the best background and edits and da 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 da. Like, not even just for this, but for like videos in general, when it's not the case. Like when I first came out, I wasn't doing that. I was in my mama's garage, in her car, had a computer, a phone, and I recorded, no good lights, and people was just following me because I was authentic. And I wish I can get back to that. Like I want to make videos on TikTok of me expressing myself and my opinion. I love to express myself. I feel like I want to find a way to monetize expressing myself because I feel like I have some great things to say, and a lot of people do good with their hands, but I'm good like vocally. Like I just feel like I can. I always love to do public speeches and class presentations and things like that. Like they just were my. I could wake up, somebody could tell me, oh, I have a presentation tomorrow. I can wing it. So yeah, I would do that. I said I post my music more without having to feel like I have to create these 3 month extensive rollout plans. I post content of me expressing myself. Those are some things that I would do if I didn't have to do them perfectly. And it really helped me think I'm holding me back. Like I'm holding me back. I'm always thinking like, oh, I don't look good, so this person's gonna think this. But why do I care what that person think in the first place? And that's like again goes back to the censor. But yeah, she says part of the game here. This one's good. Part of the game here is lining up the masters and measuring our baby steps against their perfect craft. We don't compare our student films to our peers' student films. We compare our films to Star Wars. If that ain't a fact, boy, like, I would compare, even when I was like younger, I would compare my music to people that already made it. Like to big name artists. They have a team. A team. I don't even have a team. So they have people that pick out their clothes, wardrobe departments, and set engineers, and all these things. It's just me and my mom. And now really just me. So it's like, how are you comparing yourself to these people that already made it? So yeah, that was like, and what I like to remember is comparison is the thief of joy. And in this book named The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, he says that, and then he also says, you don't want to compare yourself because you either feel inferior or superior. Inferior being you compare yourself to this person up here, now you're feeling like, less than, you got to get to that level. But then you compare yourself to the person down here, you feeling, ooh, I'm better than them, chin up, chest out, like they ain't messing with me. And yeah, that's just not right. So yeah, we talked about jealousy, and I feel like jealousy isn't talked about a lot because it makes you feel small, and makes a lot of people feel small. And I wish that like the media talked about jealousy as much as it talked about every other emotion, because it's a real thing, and it's not always just, oh, you jealousy, you hating, nah, like everybody's felt jealousy at some point, and it's really a mask for fear, because someone else is doing something that we're afraid to do, or we don't have the courage to do it, so we just locked up and we fear. And jealousy is meant to stop you. You know, you scared, you stopping, but they living out your dream. And a lot of artists are jealous, and it's natural. And I feel like when you can admit that, it's a step to moving forward. Like, and I feel like with me, like I would see other artists, and I would just like scroll past their stuff on the timeline. When in reality, I should have been looking at it. They have 40, 50,000 views, 30,000 followers. They got the blueprint right there. So if they got the blueprint, they posting it. Look at it. Okay. Now put your sauce on it and use it. You don't gotta be feeling some type of way because they doing what you wanna do. Like, okay. And I wanna be a person that congratulates. Like, round of applause, like, and authentically be happy. It's one thing to congratulations, and then it's one thing to really be happy and do that. And it just feels good when you can just be happy and know that somebody else is getting a blessing. It just feels good. It's not even a but to it. You just feel happy that somebody else is getting a blessing. It just feels good. Like, God did not bring me this far to leave me. So just because you're doing what you're doing on the side and boom, boom, you doing your big one, that's great for you, and I'm happy for you. God didn't forget about me, and I'm gonna clap for you, because when it's my time, I would want you to clap for me and be authentic with me. Simple. And yeah, and so jealousy is fear that we won't get what we want. In that process, limits God, and that's a scarcity mindset, which I've been working on as far as like making sure I don't have that scarcity mindset. Because in a way, if I'm feeling jealous because you get an opportunity, I'm then telling God, okay, you're not going to do this for me, or you're not going to do it for me in the time that I want it. And I'm putting limits on what you can do for what God can do for me. And that's not fair. That's not right. That's not accurate, because God, again, is the true creator. Everybody in this world has access to God at any point, and nobody is any closer or any farther from God than the next person. So it's not right to be that way, But yeah, so this week was definitely very, very, very great, in my humble opinion. And something else that I see as a quote is she says, "Jealousy tells us there's room for only one." And you see that in the industry today. People feel jealous because only they feel like it can only be one person shining or one person doing something, and there's really room for everybody. And jealousy is coming from ego. It's a lot of different things that come from that. And I wish as a community we just talked about it more. And when I do grow my platform, I want to just talk about emotions that aren't heavily talked about, because then people won't feel alienated. Like, come on, everybody have pretty much every emotion. Let's just all be real. Where he goes to the side, and I love to share. Like, I love to share and be open, because that's how testimonies are made. Like, when I was in church, I love testimonies. I feel like they're the most beautiful things that you can do in a church. One of the pastors, he lost his briefcase in the restaurant, had $100,000 in it, came back the next day, all his money was there, and they put it up for him. That's a testimony right there. And I don't feel afraid that I'm not private. I mean, I am a private person to an extent, but I'm willing to share if it can help somebody else go through what they're going through. But yeah, so for the jealousy, exercise that we did was the jealousy map. So you write who you're jealous of, why you're jealous of them, and an action antidote. So let's say you're jealous of your little sister. Why are you jealous of her? Because she has a real art studio. What's an immediate antidote that you can do to cure that jealousy? And it was fix a spare room. Fix a spare room and make it an art studio. Simple. And it's difficult as situations goes on, but yeah. So that was that. And yeah, I'm just grateful. God, I'm thankful to be alive. Now, week 8 is recovering a sense of strength. This week tackles another major creative block, time. You will explore the ways in which you have used your perception of time to preclude taking creative risks. Woo! You will identify immediate and practical changes you can make in your current life. You will excavate the early conditioning that may have encouraged you to settle for far less than your desired creatively. All right, I'm gonna end this off on a positive note. Make sure you not allow anything to hold you back. You're not too old, you're not too young, you're not too any of that. That's all ego. Don't be afraid to reach for it and go for it. And don't be afraid to be a beginner. A beginner. I don't care if you're 30, you can be a beginner. Okay? Why does life have to stop when you leave high school? Why can't you learn how to play football after high school? Who said? Because we allowing them limitations to be in our head. All right, bye.